Are you putting all of your energy into scaling your business while every other area in your life falls apart? See, my friend, success is not one dimensional, it's holistic. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can scale in every area and ensure that your life is in a harmonious flow for God's glory. So let's get right into it. This whole video stems from a question I got from Jeremiah from Georgia. He said, Coach, how can I grow in every area of my life without sacrificing my relationships, health, or spiritual well-being while building my business? Great question, Jeremiah. And I pulled your question from my email list and from my years of experience with coaching people like yourself. I'm excited to give some points that I think will help you and every other person this topic resonates with. So let's get right into it. First, I want to define what it means to scale in every area of your life. I wrote, scaling every area of your life means prioritizing growth and harmony across all dimensions. Dimensions like spiritual, relational, physical, emotional, and professional. Not just focusing on business or career success. It's about holistic development to avoid burnout, to strengthen relationships, and create a meaningful legacy. I'm going to read that again because it's so layered and so profound, and I need for you to hear this. It says, scaling every area of your life means prioritizing, meaning that in order for you to literally scale in every area to ensure that you leave a lasting legacy that benefits your children's children, you have to prioritize growth. That means you have to be intentional, even in areas where it feels uncomfortable, even in areas where you never had an example, even in areas where society doesn't add a lot of value to. It doesn't matter. As a believer in business, you have to be intentional in scaling or prioritizing growth and harmony across all dimensions, meaning that you just don't want to grow these different areas in their own area. You want to interconnect them. See, you're not going to be very successful in business long if you're not growing or connected in the growth of your spiritual growth. You're not going to necessarily have enjoyable success if you're not invested in scaling your relationships, because in growing and scaling your relationships, that support, that boundaries that are set by family ensures that you're not scaling in business beyond your ability. See, it means that you have to literally be intentional in growing and harmonizing, connecting, interconnecting every dimension, meaning you have to connect and grow spiritually, relationally, physically, emotionally, mentally, and professionally, not just in business. And a lot of entrepreneurs that I coach, they are blindsided due to blind spots because they're not taking care of their spots in other areas. And they're just focusing strictly on one-dimensional provision. They're only providing financially. Yes, their kids, or maybe yours, is going to the best schools, and maybe your wife is getting all the medi and petties that she desires, and maybe she has the 12-foot ceilings, but it's just a house and it's not a home. Yeah, you may be able to provide a nice vehicle and security and safety and stability, but what about her spiritual life? What about her emotions? What about the children's ability to really see what it means to be a holistic man of God, and for ladies as well? So it's about growing across all dimensions, not just focusing on business or career success. It's about holistic development. I tell people all the time, not improving in as many areas as possible daily is selfish. The goal is to be intentional, blocking time, blocking days, investing, getting mentorship, getting coaching, reading, watching videos, immersing yourself in not just learning, but growing and applying what you learn so that you can literally holistically develop, so that you can provide a buffet, an arrangement of skills, tools, and giftings that can supply and support the whole wife, the whole husband, the whole child, the whole ministry, the whole business, etc. It says it's about holistic development to what? Avoid burnout. Anytime you scale one dimensionally and not holistically, you're going to put all your energy in one area. And by you not putting energy in other areas, there won't be no synergy. There won't be no boundaries. There won't be no direction from God. There won't be no correct perspectives. And then all of a sudden, you're burnt out. And now your family's burning out as well. And I talk about this in many videos about burning out. That when you burn out, you can't keep your marriage burning. You can't keep your child inspired and burning with the call of God in them. Like when you're burnt out, you cannot keep the flames going in other areas. That's why it's important to holistically develop to ensure that you avoid burnout as well as strengthen your relationships. You have to be intentional with every individual you are in a relationship with. If you're not intentional, there won't be any residuals. If you're not intentional investing in every individual, you can't reap the residuals. You can't invest. You cannot afford to not invest in your marriage, not invest in your children, and not invest. We're not talking about financially or monetarily. We're talking about in presence. We're talking about with active listening and thoroughly engaging and investing in how God has wired them. Also, and create a meaningful legacy. Shaquille O'Neal said in one of his videos, and I'm gonna do a reaction to it. He talked about how his wife that he ended up getting a divorce with was an amazing woman, and he began to talk about how he has 100,000 square foot house, but he doesn't have the sound of family. See, friends, when I come into the house, one of the greatest things I can hear is the sound of a happy home. The sound of a wife that's happy to see me. Hey, babe, as soon as I walk through the door. Or my baby girl spinning around and running and hugging my leg. We was just at the dentist today, and of course we had to hold her down because babies don't like getting their teeth clean. And while she was getting her teeth clean or flossed, she was just upset. And you know what she said? She said, "Daddy," I said, "you called my name?" Now, she said my name many times, but I've never heard my name in that context. That means the intentionality that I've placed in being on the floor with her every day, playing however long she wants. It doesn't matter how many times I'm on a laptop. When she comes in here, I sit and play with her. It resonates to the point to where when she felt uneased or upset, she called my name. But I don't want to be at a place where I have regret. Do you? Will you have regret? Because you was always out to get? Then all of a sudden you're in an empty home? No sound of family? Let's keep going. Now here are the 5 things that keeps entrepreneurs, high achievers from scaling in other areas outside of their business or career. Here are five things that keeps entrepreneurs, professionals, and high achievers from scaling in other areas outside of their business and career. Let's get into it. Number 1, tunnel vision and professional goals, or tunnel vision on professional goals. That is a thing that keeps you from scaling in every area. Let's read. Their singular focus on business success often leads to neglect in personal relationships, health, or spiritual growth. They fail to allocate time or personal fulfillment. Oh, sorry, wrong one. They fail to allocate time and resources to other critical areas of life. Are you tunnel vision? So focused on your career, so focused on who you are and where you are on Forbes, so focused on just your professional success. Yo, that's dangerous. Do you know all the critical areas that contribute to that critical area? Don't get me wrong. Business, ministry, calling, whatever it is that you are called to professionally is a critical area, but it ain't the only critical area. There's other critical areas that contributes to how you execute in this area. So if you're so tunnel vision, God doesn't want us to be tunnel vision. He wants us to have a peripheral vision. He wants to see everything in scope. While you're pursuing, and I'm talking to the men because this is Jeremiah, but ladies, listen too. But for the fellas out there, it is easy for us to be tunnel vision. It's easy for us to think about how much we can provide for the family and how much we can go out there and go get it. But you have to see everything while seeing ahead. You have to see your wife over here. You have to see your children over here. You have to see God right here. While you're going forward, checking in, checking over here. While looking towards the front, keeping your head on a swivel and keeping your eyes in the peripheral and saying, am I allowing everybody to be in my peripheral? Now, don't get me wrong. There are going to be seasons where you're going to have to be tunnel vision. So I'm not sitting there saying that. But what I'm saying is when there's proper communication with your spouse, proper communication in your house, then maybe in the fall time where you have to be a little tunnel vision, you've put in work over the summer. You've communicated. Your wife understands that she's not in competition. Your children understand they're not in competition. And they know that when you come out of this tunnel vision season, they know it's their season no matter what. But if you're always tunnel vision and all you see is the goal at the end of the tunnel, then you're going to fumble. Their singular focus on business success often leads to neglect. You can't afford to neglect your personal relationships, health, or spiritual growth. They fail to allocate time and resources to other critical areas. What areas do you need to allocate more time? What like most of the things that we have neglected don't want quantity, they want quality. 5 quality minutes, right? I just had 10 to 15 quality minutes with my daughter and my wife before I did this video. We spent just about 2.5 hours, but the last 15 minutes before I did this video, before my wife put my daughter to bed, I sat there. I raced my daughter back and forth. I gave her the quality time. Now I have no guilt in doing what I'm doing now. This is something that you can practice, and it's not as difficult as you believe. Number 2, misaligned priorities keeps people from investing in other areas and scaling them. Success-driven individuals often prioritize tasks that yield measurable results, neglecting areas like emotional well-being, family, or personal fulfillment, which don't have immediate outcomes. That's probably one of the biggest ones I've seen when coaching entrepreneurs and people who are highly successful. This is the biggest one. Because business is so numbers driven and is easy to measure, especially when you have automated and delegated systems and you're able to predict possibly quarterly outcomes, right? Yearly outcomes. When you invest time in your business, sometimes depending on where you are, you can feel the immediate return. And a lot of people, they think that, oh, I can get to my family later. Let's hear about Kobe. Kobe invested 20 years of his life. And I love Kobe. This is no knock to Kobe, but this is something that we have to learn. For 20 years, he gave his life to the NBA. He gave his life to the Lakers. He gave his life to ball. And he gave 20 years to the NBA and promised his daughters and girls that when he retires, I know that I'm gone a lot. I know I'm not around a lot. But once I retire, I will be available. 20 years to the NBA, 2 years to his family. That math ain't mathing. He didn't know his life was going to be going 2 years after his 20-year career. LeBron James just mentioned this a few months ago. He says, in order to be successful, you have to sacrifice loved ones along the way. That is not the biblical view on success. There's nowhere in the Bible, nowhere in the conscience of a man or a woman who loves the Lord who could ever utter those words. And I'm not in LeBron's house. I don't know what LeBron does. I'm not saying or judging. I just know I'm not judging the man because I don't know the man, but I'm judging the words that are influential. And so when you think about that, and if you're that type of gentleman or lady that's out there going to get it, you may reap immediate returns from your business, and you may reap a lot right now. But my friend, there's a lot of things money can't buy. There's a lot of things success in your corporation can't buy. I don't want to have a statue in front of. I'd rather be present with my family and reap the success that comes with that than to reap millions upon millions of dollars with a statue in front of Coliseums, and then now all of a sudden I've packed out arenas, but I got an empty home. I packed out venues, but I got an empty home. So you got to think about that. And a lot of people are going to be in their feelings because they're going to be like, man, well, you must don't want to be rich or successful. Yo, how many billionaires or millionaires right now have broken homes, have divorces? Like you can have it all if you scale like God designed it. So success-driven individuals often prioritize tasks that yields measurable results. They can measure it. By the end of this quarter, I should have. By the end of the year, I should have, right? Neglecting areas like emotional well-being, family, or personal fulfillment, which don't have immediate outcomes, but it profits long. It profits you down the road. I'd rather be 60 and 70 and my kids always want to be around me than them always calling me, making excuses why they can't come. Something to think about. Number 3, burnout and overcommitment is another reason why many people, entrepreneurs, executives, professionals, high achieving individuals, the reasons why they can't scale in other areas is because of burnout and overcommitment. It says the relentless pursuit of achievement can result in physical and emotional exhaustion, leaving little energy for scaling other aspects of life, such as family, friendships, and self-care. So when you're on the grind and you're going and you're going and you're going, then about time you come home and your daughter wants to spend time, you're not available or you're too exhausted. When your wife needs for you to listen, you're too exhausted. When your husband wants to spend a little time, you're too exhausted. When the husband wants a little play, wants some enjoyment time with his wife, you can't because you're exhausted. Your friends are in town, ain't seen you in years, you're too exhausted. There is a way. See, the devil designed the world's way of entrepreneurship and business and career pursuit. He designed it with 60 plus hours to it. He designed it where you won't have time for family. He designed salary for slavery. He designed the rat race of entrepreneurship and business success. He designed it with that ambition. And God is the original creator of business. God is the original creator of entrepreneurship. He's the one. Jesus said out of his mouth, he's about his Father's business. Nothing wrong with business if you handle the others, but you got to learn how to automate and delegate so that you can regulate energy correctly, so that you can be able to distribute that energy in other areas to keep them scaling. Number 4, lack of self-awareness is big for a lot of people. High achievers sometimes fail to recognize the imbalance in their lives, believing that their success in one area compensates for deficits in others. The biggest lie ever told. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter how much you pay and you ensure they have big Christmases, that she is able to go on big trips. It doesn't matter how much you are using that. You're lacking the self-awareness to recognize, yo, I'm imbalanced. My family's imbalanced. Believing that their success in one area compensates for the deficit of others. I'm telling you, there are some things money can't buy. There's some things money cannot heal. Number 5, fear of vulnerability. I want to get through these pretty quick so I can answer some questions. Fear of vulnerability is another thing that keeps entrepreneurs, high achievers, successful individuals, and aspirants to success from scaling. Fear of vulnerability, huge. Scaling relationships or emotional growth requires vulnerability, which can feel risky or uncomfortable for entrepreneurs accustomed to control and calculated risk. Business is black and white. There's not too much color. There's not too much emotion with it. Don't get me wrong, those things are there. But it's black and white. It's numbers, it's goals, objectives, etc., right? But if you're not able to be vulnerable to your wife and communicate how you feel, or be vulnerable with your children and be the leader that they need, or be vulnerable with your husband or vulnerable with friends, how can you confess your sins one to another that you might be healed? How can you really tell people, hey, I'm struggling in this particular area. I need accountability. There's some things I can't calculate. But I feel like the Lord is speaking to me. I need a mentor. I need a coach. I need someone to let me know, hey, I got to be vulnerable somewhere so that people can speak into your life, and give you perspective. So are these 5 things keeping you, my friends, from scaling? Number 1, is it being tunnel vision on your professional success? Is that keeping you from scaling? Misaligned priorities? What about burnout over commitment? Are these things keeping you from scaling in every area? What about lack of self-awareness? You don't even have no clue or any cues to recognize that there are some things in your life that's in the red. Have you checked on your health? Have you checked on the state of your emotions? Have you checked on your family and where they are? Or do you have awareness? What about fear of vulnerability? Is that keeping you? Now, here are 5 signs or 5 areas. This is where I want you to understand what areas need to scale. And here are some practical ways and how you can start scaling the area. I'm not expecting you to scale 10% every day, but create compound efforts, stack moments that stacks days. Be intentional, schedule, understand the consequences of not. Like, don't you want to be on the front porch of whichever home or wherever you want to reside for the last days of your life? Don't you want to live in a place where you are full of rejoicing that you did what you had to do to ensure that everything scaled? I just posted this graphic on my Instagram in my stories. It was a scale where it has rich and it has wealthy. In the rich category, it was professional success all the way up, but family, health, and time and God was low. In this area of wealthy, all of them was at the same level. Business, God, relationships, health and well-being, freedom with their time was all together. That's true wealth. Wealth is holistic. That's what I'm working towards. I want to be a wealthy man, a man who has a strong family, as strong or if not stronger than his account. Actually, I want my family to be stronger than my account. I want my well-being to be stronger than my bank account. I want them to actually look like they support each other. Isn't that what you want? Or do you want to be in a 24,000 square foot, 10,000 square foot, 5,000 square foot house? Or do you want to be in a condo or maybe in an apartment in New York? Do you want to be at a beach house down in Hilton Head or whatever, and it's empty and your kids barely call you? And now you're watching another man, because your wife divorced you, another man putting a smile on your wife's face, the woman that you felt God gave you. Do you want that experience? Then my friend, you need to pay attention right now to see what areas need to be scaled so that you won't live a life of hell. Here are 5 areas every entrepreneur, achiever, leader, successful person, or anyone aspiring to these areas must scale to avoid regret. Here are 5 areas you must scale to avoid hell. Number 1, spiritual growth. I spell scale, SCALE. Spiritual growth. Why it matters? Scaling spiritually insurance ensures a sense of purpose, that you sense purpose wherever you are. That means you sense purpose. Like right now, sensing purpose doesn't mean just sensing the purpose of your life professionally. No, sensing purpose means I sense in this moment the purpose of a husband. I sense in this moment the purpose of a father. That when I'm around my daughter, I can sense purpose. When I'm around my wife, I can sense purpose. I can sense, hey, priority. Like when you condition yourself, you can automatically prioritize what gets your energy simply by who or what's in the room. So when my wife walks in the room, it doesn't matter who I'm helping here. This closes. I sense purpose because I'm grown spiritually. I'm growing spiritually. I have to keep growing because as my wife evolves as a mother and as a wife, and as my daughter evolves as a daughter, I got to continue to grow spiritually so I can sense purpose at every moment. I can be able to sense where I shouldn't be purposeful. I'll be able to sense, hey, I may have this within my repertoire of purpose. As a gentleman, as a man, I may be able to be a gentleman for someone or help someone, but I got to be able to sense, Josh, this ain't the time to be purposeful. This ain't the time to help this person. Even though it's a purposeful thing, I can still sense where to purpose and when not to purpose. Scaling spiritually ensures a sense of purpose. Thank you, Holy Ghost, for that. That's powerful. A sense of peace. That you can sense peace no matter what. Right? And align with one's highest calling. Preventing emptiness despite material success. A lot of people, man, they have 3 or 4 cars out there. They have all the nice furniture. They have all the nice things, but they're empty. I hear it interview after interview. I hear it over the last 20 years of coaching people, especially the last 5 years coaching high-level entrepreneurs and highly successful people. When they have everything, and I'm sitting there like, you're coming and talking to me, and I have half of what you have, but I'm more full of what they're not filled of. And at one time I was helping this guy at the YMCA, coaching him, and we was talking outside of his Bentley. It wasn't like he wasn't a hired session, he became a client later, but it wasn't like we was coaching. I'm sitting there, we're talking outside. I'm driving my mom's Chevrolet Cavalier. He got his Bentley right beside my car, and I'm just looking at the discrepancy between the two. I'm like, yo, you're crying right now. You're hurt. You feel empty. You feel like you far away from God. But fam, you in a Bentley. And God, when I got in my car after encouraging him, when I got in my car, God said, man, it is better to be full of me with little than to have none of me and a lot of things. I'd rather be full with a little than empty with a lot. Because you assume that those things was going to help you, but they can't. So it says, making sure that you are in alignment with your highest calling. That is huge. Preventing emptiness despite material success. Like, God doesn't mind you having things, but he want to make sure that you have a lot of him. Because if you have a lot of things and have half of him, or don't have barely any of him in your life operating, and especially in growth, it's going to damage you. Now, here is a practical strategy on how you can scale spiritually. Number one, or here's the one. Dedicate 15 to 30 minutes a day. That's it. Just dedicate 15 to 30 minutes a day to prayer, meditation on scripture, and scripture reading. Dedicate. Set it on your clock. Prioritize like you do other areas in your business. Say, I'm going to dedicate 15 to 30 minutes a day. Also wrote, join a faith-based group or mentor to deepen your spiritual connection. Most of the people that contact me that are successful entrepreneurs or successful individuals, they really mostly contact me for spiritual mentoring, like spiritual advising. And that's a joy. I love it. And because a lot of it may be you. This may resonate with you or someone that you know. You like, yo, I have all the knowledge in other areas, but I don't know God. And you may need to say, you know what? I got to find a solid, and I tell people this, find a solid mentor, coach, or spiritual advisor that understands your world. Find an entrepreneur type of guy, or find a solid man of God who understands business, who understands your world. And if I resonate with you, hit me up. I would love to help you. Number two, second area that you must scale, your calling and contributions. This is not, and what I mean by calling, I'm talking about this is business. Scale, you got to scale your business as well. But you have to scale it according to your calling. Why it matters. Scaling beyond business, into one's true calling or contributions to society ensures legacy and fulfillment. Yes, God called you into business. Yes, He called you into a career. But He's called you to collect out of that to be able to invest and pour into a higher calling. I'm not sitting there saying I'm not saying give to a church. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is find your highest calling. How can you give back? Or not necessarily give back. How can you give forward? How can you give forward to the visions in the future of people like you? People that grew up. What about a book? What about, not necessarily a book, but what about something that you can contribute? You got to scale that. Like you got to scale up in your calling. Like God, what are you calling me into? Maybe it's time for you to pivot in business right now. Maybe it's time for you to pivot out of your career. Maybe it's time. What is God's highest calling for you? Can you scale your business within your calling where you're not just called into business to do business, but you're doing kingdom business in your business? Linking your business, scaling in your calling, better discerning who you are. Could it be that you made a lot of money in the wrong area? Could it be that you are pursuing a career that God never called you to? And that's the reason why your family's jeopardized. That's why you're burnt out on the inside, because you're pursuing a career, a calling that God never called you to. Maybe you need to start finding out, hey man, I'm scaling in the wrong business. I'm scaling in the wrong area. Maybe it's time for me to wake up. Hey, God, was this even what you wanted me to do? Can you recall a moment where you felt the calling of God saying, this is the area I called you to? Or did you go into that business doing what you want to do and you allowed the culture of that world to stifle you in other areas? Here's a practical strategy. Identify ways your skills and resources can serve a greater cause. Volunteer, mentor others, or align your business goals with a social mission. Align your business goals to help a group of people, to help them forward, to empower them, to equip them with tools. Let's keep going. Hey, authentic relationships. You got to scale those areas. You have to scale authentic, signed, authentic from heaven relationships. Why it matters? Scaling genuine relationships or connections with family and friends provide. So when you scale relationally, when you invest in them, they give you a return. That's why it has to be authentic connections, because they provide emotional stability and prevents regrets of broken relationships. Listen, what profits me if I help you sit on the couch right there helping you listening to me in the kitchen right now, if I just helped you, or the other people that's watching me later while you're on that jog right now, you're listening to it in the podcast. Yeah, you right there in your car listening to me on the way to work or from work, but I'm not scaling with them. What if I'm helping you, but I'm not helping my wife? What if I'm helping you, but I don't help them? Do you know how many people I've seen with my own eyes, witnessed the ascension of, and then the regret of, to see people who had huge business success, huge ministry success, but broken families from top to bottom? That scared me straight. That scared me to say, you know what? I need to continuously invest in my wife, continuously invest in my daughter, because I don't want that to happen. That they're calling me a hero in the Coliseums. They're calling me a hero in these churches. They're calling me a hero in these schools. But my wife and daughter know that I'm a zero. Are you a hero to those that matter? Or are you a zero to them? Here's a practical strategy. Schedule uninterrupted. That means put the phones up, put the laptops up, put everything up. Schedule uninterrupted quality time weekly. I didn't say daily, weekly. Daily, you should have something where y'all eat together. I believe families need to get back to eating together. That's where you can have touch points with your family uninterrupted because you're eating. and they need to be uninterrupted. No devices, no TV on, just with family. Unless you got toddlers, you got to keep the TV on. But there has to be a strategy. Schedule uninterrupted quality time weekly with loved ones. Practice active listening and eliminate distractions like phones during these moments. That right there will take you far. Just invest in that quality time. L, lifestyle and health. Physical, mental, and emotional health are foundation. You got to scale these areas too. To sustain achievements and avoid burnout or health regrets later in life. Either you're going to be a slave to health or a slave to disease. Either you're going to be supported by, I'm going to rephrase that. Either you're going to be supported by health later on, or you're going to be a slave to disease. Mentally, emotionally, or physically. That's why you have to scale your lifestyle and your health. You got to scale it. You got to scale it. Because it's the foundation to achievement. You got to scale the way you perceive and your perspectives on things. You got to stay in the renewal. You just don't renew your mind once. No, you're renewing your mind always. Because as things elevate and grow in your life, it's going to make you have to shift the way you think about it. You see what I'm saying? So, here's a practical strategy. Commit to a balanced diet, regular exercise, and mindfulness practice. I'm talking about just meditating on scripture. Set health goals such as walking 10,000 steps daily or attending regular checkups. Like, that's just simple. Little foxes or little habits make big things happen, whether big or small. Depending on the quality of the habit will determine the quality of the big happening. So you have to scale your lifestyle and your health. Now, I ain't talking about necessarily scaling your lifestyle and how you present yourself, but there's nothing wrong with that either. Nothing wrong. Get you some nice clothes. Have nice things, but make sure you're of quality as well. Last but not least, enduring legacy. I got some questions to answer. You have to also scale your legacy. Your legacy is built where your legs are and where you see now. What you see now and where your legs are is building your legacy right now. It will determine what your children's legs will be and what they'll see eventually. It's what you do where your legs and where your eyes are right now. Why it matters? Building an enduring legacy, a legacy that's holistic, that endures. I want my great-great-grandchildren to always remember me, that great-great-granddad was the one that shifted the whole Ezzy lineage. It was him and his wife and his family that created something that our family eats off to this day. My great-great-grandkids will be eating off of this video right here, will be eating off all of my books, will be eating off of my walk with God, will be eating off the way I regulate my emotions. They will be eating off because I'm going to pass that down. I'm going to articulate it. I'm going to make sure they can visually see it. And this is important because it ensures, building an enduring legacy ensures your influence and values live on through others beyond your lifetime. When you leave, what will you leave? Listen to me. What will you leave when you leave? What will you leave when you leave? The goal is not just to leave money. The goal is to leave it all for the glory of God, for the fortifying of your family, to ensure that the kingdom is advanced through your gifts and talents and your children's gifts and talents and their children's gifts and talents, creating generational impact and income that keeps the family lineage fortified and the kingdom of God advanced through that particular line of family. Here's a practical strategy. Create a vision for how you want to be remembered. Create a vision on how you want to be remembered. Get a sheet of paper and write down, how do you want to be remembered? Create a vision of how you want to be remembered. Mentor your family. Steward your family. Mentor the next generation. Establish traditions. Write your story or build systems that multiply your impact. Don't just multiply your income, multiply your impact. Yes, they lived in a nice house, great. But your children didn't care about how big the house was. They care about how dense the home was. That they felt the home was so dense, they felt love. Their home was so full of love, they can be hugged at any place in that home. Soon as daddy pulls down the street, the kids can feel the home being electrified. When dad walks in the room, when the husband walks in the room, when you walk in the room, that your impact is compounding, doubling, tripling, quadrupling. That your children, your impact, your influence protects them. Teaching them about God early protects them. Teaching them that they're beloved and that when they accept Jesus Christ, their Lord and Savior, that they can do all things through Christ who strengthens them, that they're more than conquerors, that no weapon formed against them shall prosper. Every tongue that rise up against them in the day of judgment shall be condemned. 1,000 may fall at their left and 10,000 at their right hand, but it won't come near them. They need to hear your prayers. They need to sense that they need that. Your spouse, everybody, they need that. They didn't know that grandpa prays, grandma prays. By scaling in these areas, you as an entrepreneur, a business owner, high-level achiever, can create a life of holistic success, avoiding regrets, and fostering true fulfillment. If this video resonates with you, I have a whole life assessment. I need for you to take this assessment. It's going to show you where you have holes in your life. Wherever area you have holes, it's going to hinder how you hold. My friend, listen to me. Your success is depending on how you take care of the people that God has entrusted to you. So, are you going to live a life where you're going to create the routines and create the regimens and establish traditions and scale these different areas so that when you're 60, 70 years old, everybody is rejoicing being in your prayer. They love being with you. Or are you going to be a person because you didn't scale those other areas? Now you scaled. Now you done slid down into a hellish life. You have everything but everything. You don't want to have everything and not have everything, because without God, everything you have will feel empty. Take that assessment, and if you really say, Coach, I am ready. I want to go from a holespreneur, an entrepreneur with holes in their life, and I can't scale in other areas, to a wholepreneur where you're whole so that you can hold. Or you're a professional or a leader that says, you know what, Coach, I need some mentoring. I need some coaching. Hit that link in my description box below, that mentor link. Click that button. Let's get on the phone immediately. Christmas is next week. New Year's is 2 weeks from now. Let's get on the phone and see how we can help you scale in every area of your life. So I pray this was a blessing to you. This is one of those messages where you have to heed the warning, because, my friend, countless of people that you have admired, families have expired, and now they're in empty homes, and that don't have to be you. I look forward to helping you. Contact me today. Let's see how we can make it happen. Let's get into some questions.